A budgeting talent at 3 years old, and from artist to a celebrated brand influencer, Madelyn Brené is an incredible talent, and she joins us in the Jenleeíon circle today. I am so excited for you to be here. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with us.
Thank you. What an introduction. Make me sound important or something. I love it.
Hey, you are important with how unique you are.
Thank you.
One of the things that I found quite interesting about you, and that Jenleeíon found interesting, is that Madelyn, can I call you Madelyn, or should I call you Madame Brené?
No, you can. Please call me Madelyn.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Madelyn has uniquely blended several genres, and your unique style spans jazz, R&B, soul, and opera. And it's one of those things that, you know, when you hear that mix, you say, well, gee, how is something like that going to work? But when you hear it, you literally embody both jazz, R&B, and an opera sound, and it sounds really good.
Thank you.
So you've mastered that. So my first question for you is how did you get started in opera music? Or should we say, how did you get started in classical music?
Well, I've been singing since I was 3, but I grew up singing in church, like most people did. My grandfathers and my grandmothers were first ladies and pastors, and so it was just kind of instilled in me. But when I was around 9, I knew that my voice was a little bit different, so I started taking formal voice lessons, and the teacher that I had at the time, she was like, you should sing opera. And I was like, no, I'm a black girl. I don't want to sing opera. And then she was like, you know, she gave me my first classical song, and I was winning competitions when I was in high school. And then I went and studied music, and it just has become like a career. So
you ended up studying music at SMU, is that correct?
Yes, SMU, Southern Methodist University.
Yeah,
Yep.
so going back to that 9-year-old experience there, you're introduced to an Italian song. I mean, obviously, you'd never seen Italian before.
Yeah.
So do you remember what that song was, and how did she sell you on it?
Well, it was Caro Mio Ben, and it's one of the first ones, like an introductory song that a lot of people sing. She really didn't sell me on anything. She just told me that's what I was going to do, and I had to just do it. But I think that learning it, we had to learn diction and the pronunciation of the different consonants.
Yeah.
But then when I finally got on stage and I got a standing ovation,
you said,
I
this
was like, okay,
feels
I like
good.
this.
Lord
Yeah,
have mercy, change that.
Yeah.
Let me keep at this.
Yeah.
So the people have a little bit of a reference. Can you give us maybe the first 4 words of that song?
Oh, let's see. Caro mio ben, credimi al men.
And then she gonna talk it, so you gonna steal
Yeah, I
from
was
us.
gonna talk. I was gonna talk it, child. Yeah, because you have to like know it. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's when it comes to classical music, and the songs that I had to do in school, I'm still trying to remember what Il mio bel foco meant.
Right.
So I completely understand
Right.
that. You post a lot about trap opera. You talk about trap opera. You're the embodiment of trap opera.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is trap opera? Is it a genre that you're hoping to pioneer? What would you call it?
Yes, so it's definitely a genre that I wasn't even expecting to do. But when you think about the trap, you know, it's a place, you know, normally, associated with the hood, and they kind of create things, you know, there's a lot of things going on. And so whatever it is comes out of the trap house, you know, there's the trap style and trap food, like we were talking about earlier. And so the trap opera is basically just like an, experimentation or of everything, just a blend of street music, hip hop, R&B, soul, and mixing that with a genre that is normally kind of associated with like high level class and very just conservative. And so kind of just taking the grain and just throwing a little bit of dirt on it, but in a good way.
So in the process of throwing that good dirt on it, you know, obviously there are things we listen to that can influence us or that might serve as some of the flavor in our pot. Who are you listening to right now from a trap perspective?
I listen to, Jeezy. I listen to Gucci Mane, Trap Boy Freddy. I'm an old hip hop person, so I love Rick Ross too. But I love all of the greats, like all the way back from like Sugar Hill Gang, like everybody. So I just kind of listen to like this eclectic pot of people, and that's kind of giving me my sound. It kind of makes like a musical gumbo, you know?
I love that, a musical gumbo.
I love
so
gumbo.
Obviously you're introduced to opera at 9. You talked about it earlier, that getting on stage and getting that exhilaration from the ovation. Was it that moment that you fell in love with opera, or did that come a bit later?
I fell in love with it at that moment, but I didn't understand fully the art form. You know, I was still very young. I just knew that I could sing something different and I had a different type of gift. I think it came in college, my first year. I don't even know what the exact moment was, but I just remember just falling in love with it and wanting to learn more about the stories. I had an interest just in the time period and the association with the composers. One of the things I'd always questioned was why there were not really any African American composers in opera. And so my senior year of college, I actually did my college senior paper on that, and it was a lot of research. Like, I had to get books from different libraries because there just was not any evidence. So I think that was all the more reason why I wanted to do something different with opera, because I felt like there wasn't enough representation from the Black perspective with opera. It was like us adapting into their world and not them adapted into ours.
Yeah, and it has been that consistently, where it's sort of like, if you do see a Black person, it's an anomaly.
Exactly.
And I see with you being able to, work on popularizing the trap opera piece, it really takes it to an audience that, probably hasn't really paid attention to opera, not because they didn't want to, but just because the exposure's not there.
Right. They feel like they couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. So I described what your sound was like, based on my opinion, me hearing you, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, she has that operatic sound, but yet she's doing runs at the same time, and it was beautiful.
Thank you.
So in your own words, how would you classify your sound? You tell the people who Madelyn is.
I would just say my sound is just me. It's just staying in my own lane. It's a very soulful sound, but still polished. There's not a lot of grit in my voice. But I think that of course is with the opera training, but then adding those elements of the R&B and the runs that I've learned from church, it just kind of gives that soulful sound. Because I used to get in trouble in school. I really did. When I would sing like an aria, and they're like, you can't do that. You can't run down. You can't do whatever. And I'm like, why? Sing it from the paper. So I had to really kind of just step out of my lane. But I think that I never really knew myself, because I was just kind of adapting, like I said, to what everybody else wanted from me. But for some reason, I just wanted everybody to sing high notes in the club. So I just was like,
faster your hips move, you can start making high notes.
Yeah, and they will be doing that. Watch, they'll be singing high notes in the club. So that's what we're going to do.
I think that is excellent. So with that being said, are you, just to piggyback on the question I asked earlier, are you definitely hoping that it does become a respected genre? Because with you at the helm of it, like, it is so believable. So are you hoping that it does become a genre? And I'm telling you, like, I don't blow smoke towards folk. So I'm letting you know, from a musical perspective, like, I'm really, really, really impressed. I've never heard anyone who, in one sound, can bridge so many genres in one sound. You can sing one line, and I can be like, oh, yeah, I can hear jazz, everything else.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that?
You know what? I never even had the intention of being an innovator, but I think that's what happens, is that you get so many no's in your life. You get so many people tell you that you can't and that you won't do something because it won't work. And then you just start creating. You start innovating. And I think that's literally what happened to me. I had so many people telling me, like, oh, you should sing like this. Oh, you should do this. Oh, whatever. And it got so disheartening to me, because I started to lose a little bit of myself. So it was never my intention to create a genre. It just so happened that's what God had. And I just kept saying it. I kept saying, this is what I'm going to do, even when people said no or looked at me crazy. And then lo and behold, it becomes a genre, and everybody's ready for it.
I love it. So newsflash, this is not like the A. Marie thing where she introduced live music into hip hop and then everybody else stole it and didn't give her credit. Madelyn is coming up with trap opera here. Yeah. I think that is great.
Thank you.
So could you see yourself giving vocal lessons to other people? And if you did, would it be, say, the trap opera experience, or would it be in any genre?
I do voice lessons, and one of the things that I try to pride myself on is really making well-rounded singers. So oftentimes I do start with the classical bass, so they can get like the diaphragm and the breathing and the technical things. But I allow them to do runs. We do jazz, and I teach them the different styles, because there were many times, and I have to say this candidly, but there were many times that I would do a jazz gig and that would pay my bills when I didn't have other stuff. So being well-rounded as a singer is definitely a great thing to do. So I want students to be able to sing an aria, to be able to sing a jazz standard, and then still to get up in church and sing and tear up the church if they need to.
Well, that's a great question. Yeah. Do you think not being classically trained in music actually proves to be negative for, say, some gospel singers that later in life may have lost their voice?
Yeah.
Or do you think that's that's a problem, that not having that foundation for how to breathe and what have you.
Right. Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely think that formal training is important. And I think that people always associate the formal training with opera, so they kind of steer away from it and they just kind of do what they've learned or what their uncles are telling them or people that they've been raised in church with. But I think it's so important to learn the conditioning of the voice, the muscles, because I think it helps. I've had a 30-year career and haven't had any vocal damage or anything and still singing. But the greats who really have a formal training, I think, do have a more longevity with their voice. So
yeah, and you've never had any of the famous nodules that end up on the voice, or because I love music, but I'm telling you, I'm classically trained as well, but if I could find the right breathing way so that I could squall anytime I wanted to, and not cough.
Yeah, it's definitely protected my voice being a formal singer. So even when I sing jazz or sing pop, I still know how to do mixed voice, and I know that gets over some people's head if they're not a vocalist, but I know how to do different styles to make it work for the moment in singing.
Fantastic. We're changing gears really quickly, Madelyn. Outside of music, what else does Madelyn want to be known for?
Oh my gosh. I just want to be known as an entire brand, just as a person who took their talents and really took every seed, planted it, and it became a tree. It became something that was fruitful for other people to inspire like different generations. So whether that's fashion, music, entrepreneurship, I really am just using all the gifts that God gave me to just be able to have my name out there. And I just never could imagine that when I was born that my name would just be a brand and that it would be associated with everything that I'm doing. And I think that that's really important. So I just want to be known as just like, an overall badass, for lack of better words.
Hey, I like it. Badass. Yeah. I'm with it.
Brené the badass.
Brené the badass. Yeah. That works for me. So with that, to be honest, Brené the badass represents lots of brands on social media. And, one of the things that you do is you do encourage women, curvy women, to embrace their curves and to love themselves, right? That's really important. So do you tout yourself as an advocate for curvy women?
Of course I am curvy, but it's more so about...
Well, I'll take your word for it, because this blind man don't know, but I'll read on Google to make sure it's true, lady, but I hear you talking. No, I'm kidding, go ahead.
But no, I just am an advocate for women, period, and just people who want to, feel and respect themselves. I know that there have been people before, and it's just like, oh, you're curvy. I just want people to love themselves overall. I'm definitely a curvy woman. Definitely want curvy women to honor themselves. Yeah. I just want them to honor themselves in a way that's tasteful, and for them to understand that they are more than their bodies, and that they have a mind, and that they have a purpose, and that they can, have a life that they probably want to have, but maybe society has told them that they could not because of their weight. But even more than that, just being a person in general. I want Black people to be inspired. I want women who work a full-time job and have different careers. I want a woman who has all of these things that they have to do and doesn't know how to do them. I want everyone who can relate to me in any type of way to be inspired and to just be blessed with who they are and what they have.
So your coaching actually cross-pollinates. It's not just the idea of curvy women. It's just it's everyone.
Yeah.
And that really does speak to me, because as I'm a blind Black man living in America, right? So I'm cornered for two things, and I always lived in a space where, because I was blind, I had to make sure that my blindness was not the elephant in the room. And a lot of times it wasn't, right? But to me, in my head, it was the elephant in the room. So I said, oh, you're going to work out every day to make sure you're the sexiest dude, and you're going to do this. And then recently, I finally got to the point where I said, you know what? If I'm ugly, so what? I can't see it. Oh. And if I do look good, thank you, Jesus, I can see it.
Well, you're definitely not ugly at all.
Well, thank you. Yeah. But again, on a serious note, I do appreciate you saying that, because loving yourself regardless of your physiology is really important.
Yeah.
So turn into your upcoming music, because by the way, I did go back and revisit All of Me. Fantastic. Please go check out All of Me by Madam Madelyn Brené, because it's fantastic.
Thank you.
So, your upcoming music, what can we expect?
Well, you know, speaking of All of Me, that was my first project, and it was like 2014. And I remember just being in the studio, and we were trying to figure out which way to go with everything. I was like, So we just created this album, or this EP that was All of Me. It was a little bit of jazz, had a little bit of my songwriting skills, had, you know, some of the opera and some of the things like the title track.
Opera scatting over with a guitar.
I had a lot of things. I even had some beatbox in there. I really just put everything on the track, like left it all on the track, if they will. But I knew that, you know, I had to really kind of start finding my own lane. So after that, I didn't really release music. I had a single, and I was still, you know, continuously songwriting and live performing.
You've been teasing for 6 years, teasing people.
I know, I've been teasing for 6 years. And you know what, it's so funny because everybody that I've been teasing, like, they're like still excited. They're like, okay, we waiting. But it's been such a blessing because now with finding my own lane, staying in my own lane, and really creating a sound, I think that they're going to be so excited that they waited, because it was me coming out with something that I really believed in, something that I was true. And I've actually learned who I am as a woman. I've learned who I am as a daughter, as a friend, as a sister, and, you know, a friend. And so now I can really relate and put out the music that I want to put out that's truly me, and that will inspire other people to continue taking their music and doing different things, you know, creating subgenres, if you will. So
right, and I've always found songwriting to be extremely, you know, cathartic, right? And songwriting is always tied to something going on in my life. How personal is your upcoming project? And then let us know, is there a name for it yet and release date?
There's not a name for it yet. My first single, though, is called Slay in Your Lane. So
Slay in Your Lane?
Yeah, Slay in Your Lane. So whatever lane you in, you rock with that, you slay it. You don't worry about what nobody else is doing.
Tell the people to stay over there. Don't come over here in my lane. I'm going straight. You stay over there. I like that. I love that a lot. So tell us about that song.
Yeah, so Slay in Your Lane is definitely a song about, you know, it's like talking shit. You know, and I feel like there is a moment in everyone's life, where you feel so empowered, and you know that you are just that person, you know, that bitch, like somebody says, and you know it's not about being cocky. It's just like, I know that I know that I know that I know, and I'm slaying in my lane. I am who I am, and you're gonna love me because of that, you know.
Oh, I love it.
So that's basically what this song is about.
So upbeat. It's upbeat. Mid-tempo.
It's really cool because I'm kind of like rap and singing opera at the same time, so it's da 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 da. I mean, it's really upbeat.
Child, you cheesing. You gonna get three notes and then stop.
I can't. But seriously, it's gonna be dope, and it's gonna be a sound. You know, I brought in some co-writers that I really trusted, including one hip hop artist, and we really, you know, just have been able to create the sound. And he was even like, "This is so crazy. How are you even doing this?" You know what I mean? But I'm really excited about it. And then the full project, I'd actually started working on it a long time ago. Right now, not really sure if it's going to go that way, but it's called the Swan Suite. And that's basically just a representation of what I've kind of been through in the last 6 years, where everybody kind of saw me beautiful above water, but my feet were paddling under. So the Swan Suite, just kind of channeling that to get to the moment where I could really slay in my lane.
Oh my God, I love that. That is an epic hashtag. I mean, that's so one of our biggest phrase at Jenleeíon is beauty is one size fits all. You know, we have that phraseology that, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I sometimes joke and say, what happens if the beholder is blind? But we're not going to talk about that. What does that mean to you in terms of beauty, one size fits all?
Well, beauty to me is nothing about looks. Yeah. It's about feeling. It's about what you hear. Yeah. It's about what you feel from someone and the energy that they have. So for me, you know, no matter what you look like, your size, you know, there's some people that are absolutely gorgeous in sight, but they're absolutely ugly and dreadful on the inside. Yes. And so to me, you know, that beauty is not befitting of them. So for me, I just think that, you know, beauty comes in one size. It's just beauty is who you are, you know, really loving yourself. And when people really see that on you, they're going to love you regardless, because your confidence is what is truly, you know, the beauty aspect of you. And what would serve to be your authenticity. Yeah. Now you've had some experiences with Michelle Williams, Kenny Lattimore,
Can you tell us about that and a few other artists that you've had experience with? Because, like I said, this is no shabby experience here.
Yeah. You know,
So
well,
you're very humble. So let us know about that.
I've had some awesome experiences with some different artists. Even starting back from just kind of my acting days and doing more like musical theater. So just working with a lot of people who now I see on Broadway, people that I know that are in Aladdin and Hamilton, and I've, been on stages with them. But I think the pinnacle moment in my career was when I opened up for the renowned Jennifer Holliday, Tony Award winner from Dreamgirls. And
somebody who can still squall in old age.
She still screams, yes. And I just remember that after I finished performing, she told me to keep going. She told me that I was great. And I remember crying because I think before that, I just wanted to be done. That was back in 2010. And so she told me that. And then a famous opera singer named Kathleen Battle, when I went to see her in concert, I didn't sing, but when I walked in, she said, "Are you a singer?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I can tell." She said, "Whatever you need to do, just keep going." And I think that those two moments were what I really sometimes reach back into when I'm having those hard days and I'm like, forget this, I don't want to do this. Kenny Lattimore was absolutely amazing. Michelle Williams was awesome. Regina King, I did an award show with her where she was hosting and I performed. She was awesome. I mean, Excellent. I just really have been blessed to work with, some really amazing artists.
Yeah, and I think that is absolutely awesome. So you don't have a release date yet. Can you tease a release period for us? And can you promise us another interview when it does drop?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah, so we're moving pretty fast because when I posted a sneak peek and I had no idea. We had already worked with it, the tracks and, the writing. I just had no idea that people were really being that into it. I guess sometimes I just don't think like that. I'm just working and I don't understand. So I talked to the producer who is Ray Angry from The Roots, and we're pushing things up. So we're looking at probably the beginning of March.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, and there'll be a video too.
So the beginning of March 21.
Yeah.
So Madelyn has happily agreed to participate in what we are calling our chronology issue at Jenleeíon, and our belief is that as Black individuals, we are our history, right?
Yes.
We do celebrate the greats, and obviously those pioneers for civil rights, what have you, whether it's your Rosa Parks, your Martin Luther Kings, what have you, but also in present day, we are still our own history.
Absolutely.
The Oprahs, the Tyler Perrys, even the Steve Harveys.
Right.
We are our history. So in this chronology issue, it's great because for us, you represent empowerment for curvy women, but also it's keeping in line with what your mantra is, that it's not about your size. It's about what's within. So I'd like to do something really quickly because you've been skating around notes and stuff like that, but I need you to actually do something for us. You're usually into opera beatboxing, so we've gone from trap to beatboxing. So
it's just, it's like the beat. That's actually how I came up with the beat for Slay in Your Lane. It was the opera and the beatbox that
now I really want to hear that song, so I can hashtag that. Yeah. We're going to Slay in Your Lane, Jenleeíon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right behind each other like that.
Right.
I said we're going to stay in our lane, you're going to stay in yours, we're going to merge every now and then with the traffic light. So give us some beatboxing. God, that is so awesome.
Thanks.
That sounded like Scooby-Doo being scorched with a flamethrower. But regardless, that was incredible. One of the things that was amazing about it is that you have the whole vibrato that sort of imitates imitates the notes of a would-be string instrument.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. That
I always
so good.
They always tell you as a singer to find an instrument that you sound like, and I've always gone with like violin or sometimes a clarinet.
I was right there with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you play a game with me after that?
Yeah.
You. That was
Yeah,
nice.
I got you.
All right. So we are going to play a game called Get Ready With Me in 5 Seconds.
Got it.
Okay?
All right.
So I'm going to give you a scenario, and then you've got to let me know what you would do first in those particular scenarios.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So you always slay everywhere you go this time. So this time you are in a hurry, and the glam team is stuck in traffic.
This has happened before.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you only have a little bit of time to get yourself together. So I'd like to know what you would do first, and you're going to have 10 seconds to give me the answer in terms of what you would do.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
The first thing is makeup routine.
Okay. Well, I don't leave home without a red lip, so I definitely do a red lip, lashes, some eyeliner, and that's probably it.
Your hairstyle. 10 seconds. What would you do?
A ponytail, for sure.
Your moisturizer.
I like almond oil.
Almond oil. Yeah, I need to divorce black seed and what's the name?
I love almond oil.
What's the other thing I use? Coconut oil.
Oh yeah.
Almond oil.
Yeah, almond oil.
Right. What type of undergarment?
Ooh. Well, bra. I mean, yeah.
You're right. It is 2 parts of
Yeah, I
undergarments.
got to
should
have
have
it.
specified.
I ain't get
Yeah,
nothing
I ain't
else.
gonna
Yeah.
ask about the panties part. You don't want people to think it's a Me Too situation.
It's okay.
You know what I'm saying? just like to make sure. Now, from your head to your toe, what are you wearing?
I'm gonna probably slip on some type of black dress that I always have with me.
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, next scenario. You just found out that they want you to sing on the red carpet.
Okay.
What's your go-to song?
Misty by Ella Fitzgerald. That's probably my go-to, for sure.
Jim, can we get the first 4 words of it?
Look at me, I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree. Yeah.
Okay, in that scenario, what do you drink to warm up?
Hot tea or wine.
What kind of music do you listen to get yourself ready?
Like old R&B hype man music.
Okay, what songs are you singing to get your voice ready?
The Lord's Prayer and just some vocal warm-ups.
The Lord's, oh God, I've never heard anybody say that that is a fantastic warm-up song.
Because it goes through all your ranges. So.
Yeah, it does. It's one of those things that you just thought too high
for sure.
in the beginning. Yeah, absolutely. All right, next scenario. You made it to the awards show. So here we go with the scenarios. You got 10 seconds to answer what you would do. What is your hype song?
It Takes Two. I love that song. It takes two to make a thing go. I don't know. I like that song so much. It just hits. It's good.
What is something inspirational that you tell yourself?
Madelyn, you got this.
That's it.
That's it.
No deep breaths or nothing.
Madelyn, you got this.
Okay.
Go slay.
What do you ask God?
For strength and courage and wisdom.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for being here, Madelyn, and for gracing the cover of Jenleeíon for us. Let me tell you, it is a huge honor for us. I think you represent everything that is our philosophy here at Jenleeíon. You are the embodiment that we look for. You're a pioneer. You're a brand. You're humble above all. And I truly believe that in the context of beauty, one size fits all. I think you definitely fit that dollar. So again, thank you so much for interviewing with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Thank you.